Aries, read this before you ram the wall. Welcome, Aries. Pull up a chair, set your coffee down, yes, I know it's your second no judgment, and let's talk like two old friends who've mapped more star charts than road trips and still keep getting surprised by the human heart. I'm speaking to your sun, moon, or rising, but also to the part of you that would rather sprint than sit, fix than feel, and blaze a trail even when the forest hasn't agreed to move. I'm a longtime researcher who treats astrology like a living language, psychology like the owner's manual the cosmos forgot to include, and spirituality, yes, with a dash of Buddhist clarity as the grounding cord that keeps the whole system honest. Today's theme is simple to say and harder to live. A serious shift has begun. Not a single moment firework, but the kind of pivot that quietly rearranges the furniture of your life while you're out grabbing groceries. If you've been sensing pressure in your jaw or temples, a flicker in your eyelid, a tiredness that caffeine can't bully into submission, that's your nervous system reporting, we can't keep doing it like this. The old strategy, be nice, keep the peace, do the extra work, swallow the micro cuts, shrug off the subtle dismissals, has matured into a stalemate. You're not wrong for trying it. You're just done. I want to frame what's happening in 4 lenses: astrology, psychology, social reality, and a bit of Dharma, so you walk away with not just language for the shift, but a map and some tools. Along the way we'll invite in archetypes that mirror the energies you're wrestling: the bold planner at a crossroads, the practical critic who keeps moving the finish line, the alchemist who can turn a paperclip and a dare into a blueprint, and the quiet king whose sovereignty is emotional, not performative. We'll also speak directly to the chosen ones among you, not because you're better than anyone, but because some of you are carrying missions that insist on integrity even when it costs you popularity. And yes, this is still the year of triumph 2025, not triumph by bulldozer, but triumph by lucid choice. 1. The crossroads you can feel in your bones. Every Aries knows the Two of Wands feeling, even if you've never touched a tarot deck. It's the moment you press your palms together and realize, pushing harder won't move the wall because the wall is pushing back. This isn't a lack of courage on your part. It's a balance of forces. The know you're feeling isn't a cosmic insult, it's information. In astrology we'd call it a Mars in Aries square to a fixed obstacle. In psychology we'd call it a chronic pattern reaching its saturation point. In real life we call it Tuesday. You've likely been dealing with a person who matches your strength but not your spirit, an equal in status or age, someone who exerts control without calling it control. Sometimes it reads as competence. Sometimes it's dressed as standards. Often it arrives as an older, practical I know better energy, what classical symbolism would tag as earth sign vibes. Labels aside, the behavior is consistent. You're made to feel smaller, too impulsive, too idealistic, too much until your bright Aries engine starts to misfire. Here's the diagnosis: the conflict isn't powered by clear communication. Notice how little is said aloud. It's fueled by passive aggression, microcorrecting, shifted goalposts, and the subtext that your way is cute, but the real grown UPS will handle it. That's not feedback. That's erosion. 2. Why you stayed and why you can't anymore. Aries can be fiercely kind. People forget that because they mistake your directness for cruelty. Truth: you've tolerated a lot out of loyalty, love, or a desire to protect the group. You've smiled through little cuts because it's not worth making a scene. You've reasoned, if I stay patient, the pattern will soften. That wasn't weakness. That was maturity. And for a while it worked. But 8 of Wands urgency is rising in your body now, that inner weather report that says, no more. Pressure has built from 1,000 little moments. Not one big betrayal, just a steady drip. This is why you feel tired and wired at once. Your system is ready for a clean, creative solution, not a bigger hammer. The Aries reflex is to charge, the wiser move here is to outthink and outmaneuver without becoming the very energy that's been draining you. 3. The doorway, judgment, and the shedding, death. 2 major archetypes are at your shoulder. The first is the doorway of choice, the bell that says, hey, the loop you're in will keep looping unless you make a lucid, non-dramatic exit. That word non-dramatic is key. We're not recommending a scorched earth speech that wins TikTok for a day and costs you 6 months of peace. We're talking about a precise boundary and a graceful pivot, a decision that says, I'm not fighting, I'm not pleading, I'm just done feeding this pattern. The second archetype is transformation, slow growth, quiet molding, the dignified ending. You've outgrown an emotional contract that once worked. That doesn't make the other party a villain. It means your path diverged. Think of it as compost, not calamity. Buddhists would say, things end not because life is unfair, but because causes and conditions have ripened. Resisting that reality is suffering. Bowing to it is freedom. 4. The alchemist, magician, and your true superpower. You are not powerless. You are underleveraged. Aries, your superpower isn't only force, it's improvisation. In cognitive psychology, this is divergent thinking under pressure, using unusual resources in unusual ways. In pop culture terms, you're MacGyver with a whiteboard. The task now isn't win the tug of war. It's walk around the rope. Practical examples. If it's a workplace pattern, design a new workflow where your contributions are documented, time-stamped, and delivered through channels that reduce gatekeeping. Clarity is kryptonite to saboteurs. If it's a family dynamic, shrink the playing field. Fewer points of contact. More specific boundaries. I'm happy to discuss logistics, I'm not available for commentary on my character. If it's a relationship, replace scorekeeping with standards. I love you without I'll tolerate anything. Love is not folding. Love is oxygen with a door. The magician isn't showy here. It's strategic. It's measure twice, cut once. It's the courage to do quietly what others only threaten loudly. 5. The invisible script you're breaking. There's an old storyline that hums underneath all this, the wanderer who blames themselves for walking into the wrong room. I should have known better. I was naive. I was a fool. That voice is shame masquerading as wisdom. It doesn't deserve your microphone. You weren't foolish, you were hopeful. You weren't blind, you were generous. Growth doesn't require an indictment of your past self. It requires an escort to the exit. Let me say this to the chosen ones, and by that I simply mean those of you who carry work that won't let you compromise your soul. You don't have to be perfect to be chosen. You do have to be faithful to your clarity. This year has asked you to stop outsourcing your authority to the loudest critic in the room. The initiation isn't can you endure more. It's will you choose clean over familiar. That's the year of triumph 2025, in plain clothes, triumph not as a trophy, but as alignment. 6. What your body is trying to tell you. Aries lives from the head, brow, eyes, adrenals on speed dial. When your environment turns subtly hostile, your body doesn't shout, it tightens. Jaw clench. Temple ache. A little eye twitch. These aren't random. They're dashboard lights. You've been metabolizing stress not designed for long-term storage. If you push harder from here, you'll get diminishing returns and a bigger chiropractor bill. If you make a clean structural change, your physiology will thank you within a week. A short protocol, from a researcher who's watched this play out in hundreds of charts. Micro exits, multiple times a day, take 90 seconds outdoors. No phone. Stare at a real horizon. This widens your attentional aperture and lowers sympathetic load. Boundary sentence, write one sentence that represents your new standard. Keep it behavior specific, not character judging. Practice it out loud until your nervous system doesn't spike. Action triad. Brainstorm 3 creative routes around the blockage: jobs, living arrangements, team structure. Pick one and take a measurable step within 48 hours. Momentum isn't a miracle, it's a math problem. 7. The social reality, why this keeps happening out there. Aries, your directness is medicine in a culture that often rewards performance over truth. The flip side is that people who trade in subtle control will test you. It's not personal, it's pattern. In workplaces, this shows up as mentors who correct without teaching, leaders who praise your initiative and then quietly redirect the credit, peers who mistake your kindness for availability. In families, it appears as elders who only want what's best while vetoing your autonomy, or as partners who conflate your willingness to forgive with willingness to be handled. The solution isn't becoming suspicious of everyone. It's becoming a connoisseur of clean energy. Here are tells of clean versus covered. Clean, clear asks, transparent expectations, repair after rupture, consent to feedback both directions. Covered, vague standards that move, praise in public with criticism in private, urgency used as leverage, jokes that land as cuts. Choose clean. And if you can't find it, build it. 8. Humor, because you're Aries and you heal faster when you laugh. Let's be honest, if walls had Yelp pages, you'd have written half the 5-star reviews. Incredible resistance, would ram again. That's the Aries myth, if I push harder, it'll move. Sometimes yes. This time no. The universe hired a structural engineer and installed rebar. Your job isn't to become a bigger ram. It's to become the architect who decides where the door goes. Also, the idea that you should talk it out with someone who communicates by insinuation is like trying to install a software update on a toaster. Not a compatibility issue. Just the wrong appliance. 9. The emotional sovereign, why the hidden key is emotional mastery. When I look at the deeper current of your moment, I see a specific invitation: protect your emotional truth without weaponizing it. That's sovereign energy, the king/queen who doesn't need a courtroom to be real. It's the difference between I will win this argument and I won't participate in dynamics that make me disappear. Buddhist teachers would call this wise compassion. It means we can hold goodwill towards someone while refusing to keep funding a pattern. We can bless and block at the same time. Compassion without boundary is martyrdom. Boundary without compassion is revenge. Wisdom is both. 10. The plan, because fire signs deserve checklists too. Here's a practical, research-tested, Aries-friendly roadmap that blends intuition with execution. Customize as needed. A. Name the pattern, not the person. Write a 1-paragraph brief that describes the dynamic in behavioral terms. Example: when I propose solutions, X inserts last-minute quality checks that delay delivery and shift credit. My attempts to clarify timelines are met with new concerns. Why? Because you can change dynamics. You can't renovate a personality. B. Choose your door. There are 3 clean doors. 1. Reframe the rules, new agreements, documented workflows, explicit turnaround times. 2. Reduce exposure, fewer meetings, narrower scope, clearer handoffs. 3. Relocate, new team, role, project, apartment, or in some cases relationship status. Circle 1. Commit. C. Build a bridge before you burn one. Aries loves a dramatic exit. The wiser move is a strategic one. If you're leaving a job, line up interviews and references now. If you're moving out, price the logistics, book the truck. If you're restructuring a relationship, set a date for the conversation and prepare your single-sentence boundary. D. Announce, don't argue. When the time comes, deliver your boundary the way a pilot delivers flight info: calm, brief, non-negotiable. Starting Monday, I'll be submitting deliverables through the shared tracker with a 24-hour review window. Feedback after that will be incorporated in the next version. No speeches. No diagnosis of their behavior. You're not their therapist, you're the grown-up in your life. Expect a flurry. When you change a pattern, the system spikes. You might see an initial surge of pushback, flattery, or confusion. That's normal. Don't read it as a sign you're wrong. Read it as proof the lever you pulled is connected to the machine. Replace the adrenaline. Leaving a chronic conflict creates a weird quiet. Adrenaline misses its job. Fill the gap with routines that generate clean stimulation, exercise that honors your head/face/neck, think breath work and posture, creative sprints that finish in under 2 hours, conversations with people who don't mistake your directness for hostility. Review at 30 days. Ask, are my jaw and temples calmer? Am I sleeping more deeply? Do I feel less invisible and more effective? If yes, double down. If no, adjust the door you chose. Remember, success isn't no one is upset with me. Success is my life is in integrity and my body isn't screaming. 11. What this means for love, work, and home. Love. If a partner or family member has been treating you like a bright child instead of a capable adult, the remedy is not a louder explanation. It's a new standard. When you stop accepting affection with supervision, one of two things happens: the relationship matures or it ends. Either outcome is an upgrade because both move you out of the loop. Aries humor note: if I wanted a manager, I'd ask HR who is not currently in my living room. Work. You thrive in environments that reward initiative with clarity. If you're hitting a glass labyrinth, not a glass ceiling, a maze made of meetings, you'll either re-engineer your lane or build a new one. Document your wins. Reduce the number of approvals required to ship. If someone's leverage is ambiguity, your counter-move is precision. Home. Redesign your space for forward motion. A visible whiteboard beats a mental list. A single focus chair used only for planning trains your nervous system to associate that spot with strategy, not spirals. Remove 3 objects that belong to an old identity and add 1 object that belongs to where you're going. Momentum loves ritual. 12. The Aries permission slip. Frame it if you must. You have permission to be exquisitely clear without being cruel. You have permission to leave quietly instead of performing an exit. You have permission to protect your time like it's lifeblood because it is. You have permission to choose clean energy over familiar chaos. You have permission to be the ram who designs the gate. 13. A word to the chosen ones. Again, I don't use that phrase to crown you above others. I use it to name a specific spiritual psychology, those who carry a purpose that doesn't negotiate with fakery. If that's you, then understand why this season has felt intense. The assignment is no longer prove them wrong. It's prove yourself faithful. When you stop trying to convince people who benefit from your confusion, life gets wonderfully simple. Your yes is yes. Your no is no. Your peace returns. That's not ego. That's stewardship. You'll weave the phrase Year of Triumph 2025 through this process, not because you're collecting trophies, but because you're practicing sovereignty. Triumph here looks like a calendar that matches your calling, a body that's not bracing all day, and a set of relationships where accountability goes both ways. You won't need to announce it. People will feel it when they're around you, the grounded heat of someone who knows their lane and fills it. 14. The gentle Dharma that keeps this clean. A few Buddhist-flavored reminders that keep Aries power from turning into Aries pyrotechnics. Right view, see the pattern with compassion. No enemies, just misaligned contracts. Right intention, act to relieve suffering yours and the group's not to punish. Right speech, be brief and accurate. Don't litigate the past, define the future. Right effort, channel energy into exits and designs, not arguments and autopsies. Right mindfulness, notice when your body calms as you choose clarity. That's the diagnostic you can trust. 15. Your 3-idea homework. Yes, I'm serious. Before the adrenaline of recognition fades, write down 3 creative detours that bypass the blockage you're facing. Make them practical, not poetic. Choose the one with the highest ratio of impact to drama. Take one concrete step within 48 hours. Send the email, request the meeting, tour the apartment, update the portfolio, create the shared tracker. The universe doesn't bless theory, it blesses motion. 16. When you're tempted to go back. You'll have a moment maybe 2 weeks from now where the old system offers you a cookie, extra praise, a sudden apology, a small concession. Remember, intermittent reinforcement is how casinos make rent. If the underlying pattern hasn't changed, clear agreements, two-way accountability, visible timelines, the cookie is a leash. Eat lunch elsewhere. 17. The image of your becoming. Picture this, you step through your chosen door and the air tastes different. It isn't fireworks, it's oxygen. The horizon is wide. Your calendar is yours. You look up and realize the weird background hum in your head is gone. What you feel instead is a calm, bright ambition, the Aries you love being when nobody's grading you. You're not trying to prove you're a leader, you're busy leading. You're not arguing you're worthy, you're building something worthy of you. There's a reason people will start asking you, what changed? Tell them the truth, I stopped funding dynamics that made me disappear. I chose clean. That's the entire sermon. 18. Closing, with a wink only Aries will appreciate. If I handed you a sledgehammer right now, you'd know exactly what to do with it, and that's precisely why I'm not handing you one. I'm handing you a blueprint and a pen. Put the door where you need it. Draw the hinge. Walk through. And if anyone asks why you didn't use the wall the right way, smile like only an Aries can and say, because I prefer exits to head injuries. You are not here to be a good sport in someone else's maze. You are here to live in open sky with purposeful fire. The shift that's begun is serious because your life is. Treat it with the respect it deserves. Choose your door. Take your step. And then this part matters, keep walking. To those who resonate with the chosen one's call, your task isn't to be special, it's to be faithful. To all Aries reading this in the year of Triumph 2025, Triumph looks like a calendar that loves you back, a body that exhales, a voice that doesn't tremble, and a future that doesn't require anyone's permission. You've got this. And more importantly, you've got you.